Well, here we are back again with the Fifth Force. This is segment number 4. It's about assessments and how they work, and this image just for fun. This lady doing a great shot and feeling good about it, and that's what we feel about the assessment process. So some years ago, one of my colleagues did this research. In fact, it's kind of funny because when he told me he's going to do this, I said it's a waste of time. He did it anyway. Thank God people who work for me don't listen. He took all the teams in our database with multiple assessments. There were 198 did this in 2008. And he organized them according to the quintile they started in. And these are the teams that started in the bottom quintile. And by the way, this offset is not an error, it's real. For some reason, I don't think it's statistically meaningful, but the teams that started in the bottom quintile, more of them with the lowest scores choose to reassess than those with slightly higher scores, but again, I think there's no meaning to it. So what he did, he said that the teams that started here, what happened with each team development assessment? Wow, look at that. I think this is a very good, accurate estimate of the return for some unit of currency. This team's working about 53% efficient. This team's working about 75% efficient. These are about 6-month intervals typically, 15 minutes online, and plus 7% performance every time you do it. Now that to me is astounding. And when I first looked at this, I couldn't believe it, but I said, oh, I got it. You took teams that started here, so there's no way they can go in this direction. There's no space, so this is kind of a random walk. So he said, no, wait a minute. I did the teams that started in this next to bottom quintile, and this is what they did. Oh, my word. The teams that started here, and here, and here. When I saw this, I said, this is the most amazing data set I've ever seen. This is just absolutely remarkable, and this deserves to be shared with the world. At that point, I sat down and started writing how NASA builds teams. Now, unfortunately, when I was in my excitement and haste to write the book, I didn't take the time to try and figure out how they worked, but now I think I have a really good insight, and I'll share it with you. For years, I thought the online segment was the most important part. It takes about 15 minutes median time, and the reason is we spend so much work building this thing. So today, every time we do a TDA, I urge you to give every team member a copy of my book. It's very cheap, 20 bucks, and it tracks along with the assessment and gives you a good reference manual. Also today, in English, you can do this on your computer and switch over and complete it with your cell phone, go back to your computer, back and forth. What you're doing is you're benchmarking 8 behavioral norms that are the way your team functions. And what most people don't even see about this is much more than an assessment tool, and that's why assessment's in parentheses. It's a developmental teaching tool. And actually, I think the participants in the assessment may get more out of it than anybody else. So the first thing you do is you learn why each behavior matters. We give you the context for it. And this is certainly going to be new information for many. Then there are case studies you can expand and contract of use of these in businesses and my life and my company and NASA. Then you see a standard that you measure against, or a criterion. Now, when I first put in the standard, the idea was trying to mitigate the phenomenon of normalization of deviance. That is, as you know, the phenomenon where behaviors that are deviant in larger contexts become locally okay, and I showed you the example of Challenger as a real strong point. But I get now there's another really big piece of this. It shows you what good looks like. You see what good behavior, what meeting good behavior looks like. Click on a radio button that assigns a score, and you can explain the rationale for your choices. We compile this into a report. And by the way, I'm just showing you a few of what the report products look like. Statistically, here's a real team data. I call it ABC. We don't tell you the real team. They started out here, and they went here, here, and here. Over about a 2-year period, this is very typical. If people want to do this over 2 years, you'll get this kind of advancement. Now, people sometimes say to me, well, Charlie, you know, you're saying it takes 2 years? That's not very fast. I'm telling you, to change behavioral habits, I think it's really, really fast. typical, every team that wants to with a dedicated leader has the possibility for this, or the probability for this. Another interesting product is we show you how each person saw the team. Now what I want you to think about here, these are different perceptions of the same thing, and there's almost always one or two out-of-family people here. It's always interesting to me to try and figure out what's causing those people to see the team markedly differently. I urge you to assume it's something in the context. Maybe they are not in the job they feel like they can do or able to do or don't want to be there. It's in everybody's best interest to try and find them out, have a discussion, and see if you can't fix what ails them. And then we benchmark the 8 behaviors, and this shows you the where it was in the previous assessment, where it is in this assessment, and you should advisedly pick the lowest ones. In this case, there's not much differentiation. So if I were dealing with this team, I would do more to habituate authentic appreciation. This is the most powerful behavior. Now, in the early days, we used to brief these reports to the teams, but once we understood how central the team leader was in this whole process, we briefed the team leaders, and the team leaders briefed the teams, and as they go through the information, there's to do 3 action items. First, schedule the reassessment. If they schedule the reassessment, they remain in the developmental process and do it right on the spot. Doesn't matter whether it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months away. The important thing is you sustain the developmental attention. Second, decide whether you want a 3-day workshop or workshop modules. Then finally, and perhaps most importantly, is to assign behavior-specific action items. And here's kind of a made-up one. John Smith's going to develop and implement an appreciation enhancement system. And of course, every action item has to have a person, the item, and a due date. This is what we've done here is we have put the team development process inside the team, where the work is being done in a way that matches the context of the team, because they're deciding what to do and they're doing it. I think it's completely unique to our system. That completes Module 4, and we'll go on in a few minutes to Module 5, some case studies. Thank you for listening, and have a great day. Bye-bye.